All right, guys, we're going to get right into it, man. We got Andrew Tate going on a rant on why he supports, some of the Islamic resistance against Israel in the West going on in the Middle East. Let's get into this clip here.
Over subjects they don't even understand or know. This happened recently with the Houthis. It was funny. Before Trump started bombing the Houthis, I noticed the news was talking about the Houthis all the time. We have to get the Houthis, the Houthis, the Houthis. And everyone's walking around going, yeah, we have to get the Houthis. I'm like, you didn't even know who the Houthis were 3 days ago. You didn't even know where Yemen is. But they could just make you dislike these people so they can murder them en masse. How do they do that? Because they can emotionally affect you. I can't be emotionally affected. In the West, if they have an idea that they want to psyop the population with, they aim for children and women first. They don't aim for the men. We're hard to convince.
That's what they did with the October 7th. The first thing that came out was behead babies.
Of course, a lie.
To trigger women.
100%.
Yeah.
I got in an argument with somebody when the Taliban retook Afghanistan. And the Taliban, I was on Piers Morgan. And he sat me down and he said, what do you think about the Taliban preventing women from going to school? And I said, well, I don't live in Afghanistan. I'm not Afghanistani. I think the Taliban have a very difficult job to try and be the government of a war-torn country like Afghanistan. I'm sure that their decisions are not always perfect, but it's their government and their sovereign nation. And we believe in sovereign nations, don't we? So they made their own decision. And he said, well, don't you think that's disgusting? Don't you think that the girls should be allowed to go to school? We should do something about it. And I sat and said, why don't the women do something about it? Why do men have to go die? If you're not smart enough to do the research and work it all out and do the details, here's a simple formula. Whoever they say is good is bad, and whoever they say is bad is good. That's literally how
people are waking up now. I mean, especially with what has happened with Israel and Palestine, with how much the media twists the truth and how much it enraged so many people. If that is not a lesson for you to say, maybe not everything the media says is right.
And the media, another trick they do, it's not only what they say, it's how they say it. And we can talk about Israel-Gaza quickly because you mentioned it. It's a perfect example. When Hamas and the Palestinians defend themselves, it's a brutal massacre. When Israel murders innocent civilians, it's a tactical strike. Those differences in languages, brutal massacre, tactical strike. Now, we know that a tactical strike is a collapsed building on top of children. We know that there is missing limbs and dead women, children, and men. We know how brutal it is because we can now see the video. If X wasn't a free platform, we wouldn't even see the videos. So if you just read tactical strike, you imagine, they picked the one bad guy out of the group and it was tactical and they sniped him. But it's not that, is it? It's collapsing buildings on top of innocent civilians. But when Hamas defend themselves, even if they're killing other soldiers, which is the basic prerequisite of war, it's a brutal massacre. So when you're listening to what the media say, it's not only what they're saying, because sometimes they're unfortunately forced to tell some version of the truth. Then what they do is they say it in a particular way and they lie by omission. And by omitting certain parts of the story, they can tell the truth while also lying.
Correct.
This is very, very common.
1,000%, guys. I mean, this is the only war in the history of wars where another entity has directly targeted women and children. Like they directly targeted women and children. We don't even know how many Hamas combatants have died. And the IDF fired one of their spokesperson because he couldn't even give you a figure or a rough estimate. And you have intelligence, some of these intelligence agencies coming out saying that they have the same amount of fighters that they started with back in 2023. So that tells you about the military failure that the IDF is receiving at the hands of Hamas and some of these groups, right? So, and the reality of it is when they're targeting these buildings and like these, they're inflicting this damage, there's only women and children in there. All right, the number one victims of the entire war is children between the ages of 6 to 9, because they're not young enough where they have to be constantly with their mom, or they're constantly restrained in one spot, but they're a little bit older enough where they can kind of move around, and so that's the majority of the casualties happening in Gaza. Children from the age of 6 to 9. This is the first time in the history where we see a documented genocide happening. That is directly targeting women and children. So, I mean, it doesn't get more sick and disgusting and pathetic than that, right? So, and again, guys, the reason why the Middle East is a hotbed for war is simply because the West has obviously been trying to dominate that whole region for years, and they've been failing to do that, right? And they obviously want to keep China and Russia and those other players out with the whole oil and stuff that's going on there. And they want to, that petrodollar, man. So they want to maintain their economic supremacy over that entire region. And that's why there's been these constant useless wars that have been going on for several years. The Taliban had nothing to do with 9/11. It was Al-Qaeda, which was a CIA Muslim Brotherhood, CIA connection there, where they kind of allowed it to happen to start this big ass war in the Middle East. Only people that benefited was Israel and the MIC, right? That's it, right? The military industrial complex. So interesting take by Andrew Tate. Now, I don't know where he's at right now, but hopefully bro could get back, to wherever he needs to get to without getting stopped by, Homeland Security. But let me know what you guys think in the comment sections down below, man. Like, comment, subscribe. Shout out to Tate.